You are looking live at the Flying Turtle Lounge. It is week 7 of On Top the Cage. If the set looks a little bit different tonight, you are correct. We have a 3-man booth tonight. As always, my co-host Dan on the far side. I'm Ken. I want to give a big welcome to my brother-in-law Teddy, hailing from the great state of Georgia. He is up visiting my wife, his mother this weekend, so
He's not visiting you.
he's not
Just
visiting
your
me.
wife and her mother.
And most likely not you either, as this
hell
is
no, he's
this
not
is
here
the
to see
gentleman.
me.
This is the gentleman that Dan has consistently taken pot shots at week 1 through 6
Oh, my
of On
Falcons
Top the
deserve
Cage.
it.
All right, I know my gentlemen here are thirsty. Let's start with our alcohol review that we normally do. This week's offering comes from the Royal Docks Brewing Company. It is out of Canton, Ohio, the birthplace of Ohio. These two guys are not patience
Birthplace
is not
of
their
football, not Ohio.
birthplace of football. I'm sorry. Yes, also home to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's a tremendous museum of the National Football League. If you get a chance, go. It's called Leatherhead IPA. It's a tremendous presentation, actually. There's an old school football player on the can with a C on his jersey, an ode to the Canton Bulldogs, who were one of the founding football teams that eventually morphed into the National Football League. What do we think?
That's definitely an IPA, but it's a little thick for me.
It is thick. It's a little malty.
Yeah.
6.5% in alcohol. Hopefully, I'm not slurring my words by the end of the show.
No, I can dig that. That's totally drinkable. But you're right. There's no question. It's definitely an IPA.
There's a little citrus, a little malt. In any event, we got a lot to get to. Normally, as you know, we shoot on Wednesday nights. We are shooting on Thursdays. Not COVID related, but Dan's son had a playoff soccer game that they advanced in the tournament. Hopefully, we don't have a change of date as they continue to go.
Yep. Big victory last night. Now we get to play the arch rival of Akron, Hoban.
Hoban, very good. All right, last week we're on to that. Dan, I was a little bit nervous about last week. We had 6 games different. We hadn't picked that many games or been on opposite sides of that many games, weeks 1 through 6. I was a little nervous for somebody. We both ended up 8-6, stacking positive weeks again. We've had one losing week through the first 7 weeks. So cumulative records on the year. I'm 53-36-2. Dan is 52-37-2. That makes me 17 plus. Dan 15 plus. We'll keep it up.
It's a good job there, gentlemen. Good job.
Thank you. Hey, pretty good week in the National Football League regarding COVID. I thought we were going to have a clean week where we were going to have our Thursday night football game, a full slate on Sunday, the Sunday night game, and one Monday night game. There was one bit late. It kind of shuffled the schedule a little bit. The Raiders had a positive test on the offensive line. All it did was they moved that game to 4 o'clock. They shoved the Seattle, Arizona game to the Sunday night football game just to ensure that we have a game to watch on Sunday night. So,
But the whole Raiders offensive line is in quarantine. I mean, that's pretty big.
They're playing.
Hopefully they're in quarantine in Caesar's Palace, like on the top, got the top row of hotel rooms.
I'm sure they're doing just fine.
As of now, we're on and we're playing. So we do have a Thursday night offering. It's I guess you could call it an NFC East battle. I don't know if I want
Best
to call
division in football. Look
it. Oh
out.
my goodness. It is the New York Giants traveling an hour and a half south to play the Fly Eagles Fly, the Philadelphia Eagles. The line is -5. The over/under is 44. Dan, take the lead.
I'm going with the Eagles in this because Carson Wentz is going to be the best person on the field tonight.
Yeah, there's no question. This doesn't look like a great game to watch, but you got to go with the Eagles on this. Only -5. They'll definitely cover that.
If you're not interested in the game, we do have the final presidential debate. Speaking of that, and Dan's pot shots with Teddy, I should probably be sitting in the middle of these two. I'm sure I'd do better than Chris Wallace.
We get along on a lot of things. It's just not Atlanta Falcon football. That's it.
The crazy thing about, well, not crazy, but this is an NFC East game, and the other 2 NFC East teams play each other as well. I mentioned the records of the Giants 1-5, and the Eagles are 1-4-1. When Dallas goes to play Washington, there's a scenario where any one of these teams can end up in first place in this division.
That's sad.
The Eagles were game against the Ravens last week. They came up just short. They failed on a 2-point conversion to shove it into overtime. They had a couple of big injuries as well. Ertz, their tight end, went down for multiple weeks, but mainly Miles Sanders went down, which they're obviously shorthanded tonight. I haven't seen enough.
Isn't Deshaun playing tonight?
Yeah, I think
He's
Deshaun
coming
Jackson
back,
does come back. So
he got one weapon.
They do. They get a plus. They got a couple of minuses. With that being said, I think I haven't seen enough from the Giants. I'm going to go ahead and take the Eagles as well, -5. All right. Next game, the Sunday night or Sunday afternoon games. It starts with the Detroit Lions, the 2-3 Detroit Lions traveling to Teddy's football team, the Atlanta Falcons. They are 1-5. The Falcons are -2.5. The over/under is 57. Sounds like Vegas is expecting a shootout. Teddy, you take the lead. It's your team.
Yeah, well, I do think the -2.5 is a slap in the face. I mean, being the home team, although there's not much home field advantage in Atlanta, they should be getting at least 3. Unfortunately, I was not happy with the win last week because, I'd rather go 0-16. Let's get that quarterback from Clemson and let's move on from Matt Ryan. I love the guy. He's done great for us. But I think it's time if we get him. If not, Justin Fields. We'll take him at the 3rd pick. But looking at this game, unfortunately, I think the Falcons will definitely cover the 2.5. So I'm going with the Atlanta Falcons.
I tell you what, yeah, he alluded to Raheem Morris taking the reins in Atlanta, and he promptly screwed everything up by taking his football team up north, blowing out the Minnesota Vikings, taking him clearly out of the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes. I don't know. Dan, you talk. What do you got?
Well, a lot of emotion last week. Coach gets fired. New guy in there. Want to impress everybody. But, hey, interim coaches don't succeed in the NFL. Matt Patricia's fighting for his life, his coaching life right now. Detroit's going to win this game.
Woo! I'm going to go with Teddy. I like the Falcons -2.5, a little bit of momentum. I'm not sure how many times we're going to continue to see Julio Jones and Matt Ryan hook up. The trading deadline comes up here after Week 8.
If we can trade Julio, let's do it.
I think Julio's on the market.
If you trade a quarterback,
if you want that contract, who's going to take that contract he has? That's the difficult part.
I know I'm sticking on this game a little bit long. The Detroit Lions, they played pretty well last week. They got your guy DeAndre Swift from the University of Georgia, the rookie, going. He scored a couple of touchdowns. I still like the Falcons -2.5. All right, next game up on the slate, the Cleveland Browns, Dan's team. The Cleveland Browns, they travel about 4 hours south, the Battle of Ohio, to play the Cincinnati Bengals. The Browns are 4-2. The Cincinnati Bengals are 1-4-1. The Browns are a field goal favorite at -3. The over/under being 50.5. Dan, I'll let you talk first.
They got to come out and play a lot better than they did against the Steelers. It's come out and perform, or everybody's going to call you a fraud. So you guys are good enough. I think 3's too low. I think the Browns come out and dominate in this game.
I tell you what, the Browns had a chance last week. They went into Pittsburgh. They had a chance to make a statement that there's a new sheriff in town.
Absolutely.
They got pistol whipped in that game. They got smoked.
Couldn't run the ball. They couldn't do a lot of stuff. Defense is. Yeah.
Mayfield's got to play better.
The whole team has to play better, but yeah, he does. I mean, 2 interceptions, a pick 6. Come on.
They're missing Chubb as well. What's his timeline for return?
They haven't said. He's progressing, is what came out of Berea today. But that coach isn't gonna tell you. I think it's gonna be after the bye week when we see Nick Chubb again.
I think the Cincinnati Bengals are a young, they're progressing team. They don't know how to win yet. They were up 21-0 last week in Indianapolis and found a way to lose the game.
Mixon hasn't practiced in 2 days, so if you take that out, that's a weapon for the Bengals, and they don't have that many.
The Browns defense has been opportunistic throughout the season for the most part, maybe excluding last week. I like the Browns -3 as well. I'm a little hesitant, but I like the Browns as well.
Well, I'm going to take the Bengals, actually. Haven't watched a lot of Ohio football this year, but I like Joe Burrow and what he's got going on there. I will definitely take those points and take Cincinnati.
I think the next game is the best game on the slate this week. 2 undefeated teams. The 5-0 Pittsburgh Steelers travel to play the Tennessee Titans. The Steelers are currently -2. The over/under on this game is 52. I tell you what, guys, these are 2, I think, really complete teams. We've talked about offense, Dan, through the entire 7 weeks now, and it's largely because there's not a whole lot of good defenses in the National Football League. But these are 2 complete teams that bring a defense to the game as well. The Steelers didn't have any problems last week. The Titans have impressed me. They didn't practice for a while. They came out, they smoked Buffalo 2 weeks ago, and then they were in a struggle with Houston last week. Houston played them tough and down the wire. Speaking of that, now that came up, did you see what Mike Vrabel did? We both love Mike Vrabel, Dan and I do. They were losing by a touchdown, and it was 2nd and 1, and they didn't have the ball. The other team had the ball, or Houston had the ball, and he knew that the time was going to run him out. He intentionally put a 12th man on the field, got a 5-yard penalty, moving to the first down
Stop
instead of
the
second
clock.
and 1. Yes. It gave them just enough time to shove the game in overtime, and then Derrick Henry took over from there.
Just like
Genius.
Vrabel did last postseason against Belichick. I mean, who else is taking Belichick to school like Vrabel did?
Well, you learned from
I
him.
mean, from this right here, I would definitely have to say you're gonna have to go with the Titans. What Derrick Henry is doing, the man's unstoppable. He's a total beast. He's an Alabama guy. I would definitely take Tennessee with this, with no question.
Teddy's on Tennessee. Who you
I'm
like?
on Tennessee too. You got to be able to stop Derrick Henry. The Titans defense, I think they're going to be able to slow that offense down. Claypool, phenomenal, 2 weeks. But to me, that's the only weapon they got on that offense.
Henry just looks like a man
I'm
with
gonna-
his boys.
I do. I'm going to go the other way, and it is really difficult to stop Derrick Henry. I think the only way you stop him is you get him early before he gets going, because once he gets to the second level, forget it. He's going to truck your people, and he's going to go. And he's going to fall forward. You know, if he had a 4-yard gain, it's going to be 7 or 8 because he just runs over whoever he's tackling. It's a really tough game. I'm looking forward to watching it. These two gentlemen are on the Titans. I'm going to take the Steelers minus the 2. Carolina Panthers, they travel to play the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints are coming off a bye. They do get Michael Thomas back this week. The Carolina Panthers were throttled by my Bears. The Bears bring a defense to the game as well. The current line is the Saints minus 7.5. The over-under is 51.5. What do you think?
I think that's a big line.
Yep,
7.5.
big number.
It is.
I'm still not sold on the Saints.
Yep.
I thought coming, at the start of the season, they were definitely a Super Bowl contender. The Panthers have been playing well. Teddy Bridgewater's going back to the Dome. I think I'm going to go with the Panthers on this one.
You've said repeatedly you think that Drew Brees' skills are diminishing and things like that. McCaffrey's eligible to play. He was on the sideline last week when they played the Bears. I watched that entire game. I haven't heard a boo about him coming back. Yeah, 'tis a season to use that term boo, that quip. But anyway, I don't know. I'm going to go the other way. The Saints are off a bye. I think they might have put it together a little bit more. Time is of the essence. The Saints are 3-2. The Carolina Panthers are 3-3. I'm going to lay the points. I'm going to lay the 7.5.
I think that's too many points to lay. I do think the Saints win the game, but at the same time, 7.5 is too big of a number. Matt Rule's got the Panthers playing well. They took it to my Falcons a couple of weeks ago.
Everybody has.
It's a good team. It's a good team. But I do think the Saints win, but I'm not taking the 7.5. That's too big of a number.
I don't like his Falcons argument at all. I'm still going to stay on the Saints minus 7.5. I don't think he convinced me otherwise. All right. Next game up, the Buffalo Bills. They go to travel to play the New York Jets. The Bills are 4-2. The Jets clearly are 0-6. The Jets are one of the worst football teams I've seen in the National Football League.
The worst.
Take it for Trevor.
Yeah, I think they are. I mean,
Yeah.
otherwise Adam Gase would have been fired. Might as well let the
He
the
should
mess
be
still
fired.
stay.
He should be fired.
I think they want to keep him so they lose all the games.
Yeah.
I'm not even calling the Jets anymore. This is one of the worst football teams I've seen. I'm going to call them the paper airplanes. The New York paper airplanes is who you should call it.
That's more appropriate. Yep.
Anyway, the line. The line is huge, obviously. The Bills are minus 13.5. Last week, the Bills, they got beat by the Kansas City Chiefs on the early game on Monday night.
Yeah.
It's funny, when they played against the Chiefs, they tried to play a two-deep safety look to take away the explosive play, and then they just ran the ball all over them with the layer. It's kind of like pick your poison with the Chiefs. It feels like Josh Allen's regressed a little bit to me, but there's no way that I'm going to ever pick the Jets, I don't think, unless the line gets into the 20s. I'm on the Bills, minus 13.5.
Yeah, I got to agree with you on that. It's a big number. I mean, 13.5, you don't want to stay away from that. But we're talking about the New York paper airplanes here, right?
The paper.
So the Bills, if I'm not mistaken, were 4-0. They have something to prove. I mean, they were sky high in Buffalo, all about their Bills. They're going to come out. They're going to definitely win by at least 14, if not 17
Yeah,
points.
this is a division game. The Bills are going to crush them. Crush them.
Consensus, we're all three on the Bills over the paper airplanes. Dallas Cowboys, we mentioned this game earlier. They go to travel to play the Washington football team. Say it, Dan. Redskins, right?
The Redskins.
The Redskins.
I mean, if they got to get rid of the Redskins, The issue is that the Cowboys were
gotta
the
get rid
ones
of
that got rid of the Redskins in this country.
But they don't have to get. What about the
we should get rid
Browns?
of the
What about the
Cowboys.
Browns?
Browns?
But the Browns, it's just a color.
When they get rid of the Saints, and what if I'm not religious? I don't like the Saints. What about Raiders? They're Buccaneers. They're
All right,
scary,
we're gonna
too.
keep the politics out of this as much as possible. The Cowboys are 2-4. They got beat on Monday night, the late game on Monday night, by the Arizona Cardinals. The Washington football team. They played the Giants last week. Riverboat Ron went for the win last week. They were down by 1 under 2 minutes in the game. He went for 2. They weren't successful. They ended up losing the game. I mentioned earlier that any of these 4 football teams in the NFC East, depending on how the games play out this week, could end up in first place in an absolutely horrible division. The Cowboys are minus 1.5. The over-under is 46. Dan, you lead.
Man, I don't know. Who was the guy that played for the Raiders years ago against the Browns, where you just have to stick them all over them? The defensive back.
Yes.
God.
Oh, gosh. I think the 6.5% beer is getting
Put me on the spot, man. Come on.
Oh, I know him too. I'll probably come up with it later in the show.
Well, Ezekiel needs to get his number to find out who his stick-em dealer was, because I don't know what's going on there, but man, that's an issue. A couple weeks in a row putting the ball on the turf.
That's what Dan alluded to. Ezekiel Elliott has not lost more than 2 fumbles in a season, and he lost 2 on Monday night.
Well, he got the contract, so who cares? He's already
well,
getting paid. He can fumble all day long.
Big fumble against us, the Browns. He had a fumble in that game.
The other thing on Monday night, Andy Dalton looked incapable of running that offense.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked with that.
Yeah, the red rifle was more like the red BB gun. I don't know.
The Red Rider BB gun?
Rider or rifle?
Red Rider.
It's the Red Rifle is what they call
Ralphie.
it. But my comment was going to be I had not seen the Red Rifle. I saw him come in for a spout or 2 earlier in the season. But I did not see him at all in the last game. I would think that someone with his experience could do well. But looking at that, it's only minus 1.5. I got to go with the Cowboys with what they have on their offensive line. Zeke's going to have something to prove. Even though they're on the road, and there's no home field advantage, I'll take the Cowboys.
I'm going to go with the Cowboys. I'll go with Cowboys in this one.
We're in consensus here. There's too much weaponry on the Cowboy team to be this bad. I think it certainly surpasses what Washington's talent is that they put on the team. I'm also on the Cowboys minus 1.5. All right, the Green Bay Packers. They go down to play the Houston Texans. The Packers are a 4-1 football team. The Texans came up just short again last week against the very good Tennessee Titans team. The Houston Texans are 1-5 on the season. The line on this game is the Packers minus 3.5. The over/under is 56.5. Vegas also expecting quite a few points in this game. Let's start with the Packers. The Packers were up 10-0 last week against the Bucs.
Raced after that.
Then they gave up the next 38 and lost the game 38-10. They didn't look good on either side of the ball. They still have Aaron Rodgers, who's always been a difference maker in the National Football League. The Texans playing under Cornell, they play better. You know, it's a do or die situation for the Texans, certainly. I guess they're not completely buried at 1-5, but they're close. I mean, they got a foot in the grave. Packers are minus 3.5. I'll go ahead and take the lead. As much as I don't like doing it, I'm going to lay the points to the Packers.
Yeah, I'm still bitter that the Falcons let Matt LaFleur leave, and he was Shanahan's assistant in Atlanta. He would have been a perfect fit for the offensive coordinator. He's done an amazing job. Him and Aaron didn't get along, supposedly, last year, but they seem to be on all the right pages this year. Last week did not turn out as was scripted, but I definitely would lay that 3.5 and take the Packers. I expect them to win by 7 to 10 points over the Texans.
I too am going with the Packers just because we got another interim coach. Interim coaches do not succeed in the NFL, and I don't see them beating the Packers.
All right, that is the end of the 1 o'clock slate. The 4 p.m. slate starts with the Kansas City Chiefs traveling to play the Denver Broncos. The Chiefs are minus 9.5. The over/under on this game is 47.5. Last week I mentioned it earlier. The Chiefs played Buffalo. It must have killed Andy Reid to run the ball that much. He hates running the ball. He hates running. But like I said, Buffalo was playing a 2-deep safety look, trying to make sure that they didn't give up the explosive play over the top. But the weaponry is so good on Kansas City. They just ran the ball. And then they added Lev Bell this week as well. I told you he was going to be on a team. They're minus 9.5. The Broncos. Let's talk about the Broncos for a bit. They are 2-3. They're not completely out of that division either. They went to New England and won a big football game. I didn't think they were going to win. Congratulations, by the way, who had Denver's field goal kicker last week in fantasy. 6 field goals. It probably put you over the top for a win. I think I'm going to have an unpopular pick here. I'll let you guys go first. Teddy, you take the lead. Who do you like in this game?
Goodness gracious. It's tough to pick against the Chiefs and Mahomes, but I mean, 9.5 points. I don't care who you're playing. That is huge. Broncos, like you said, are off a big win against a kind of a listless Cam and Patriots team that had, one practice in 2 weeks? So what is that? What, they got 6 field goals? 9.5 is a lot of points, but Kansas City's going to pull this out and win by 10 to 13 points.
I agree. Kansas City, again, division game. They want to stay on top, dominate the division. They're going to beat Denver at Mile High Stadium by, I think more than 10.
I'm going the other way. I told everybody I was going to have an unpopular pick. I like Fangio. I like the defense that they're bringing to the field right now. It's a scary pick for sure whenever you pick against the Chiefs because they can put up points in a heartbeat. But the Broncos are playing well. I like them. Drew Lock's back. Not that that's anything to write home about as a quarterback, but I'm going to take the Broncos. I know it's not popular. All right, next game up, the San Francisco, good game here too, I think. Have a weird good game if you ask me. The San Francisco 49ers, they go to Gillette to play the New England Patriots. The 49ers are 3-3. The New England Patriots are 2-3 because they were short a game with the COVID situation. The Pats are currently -2.5. The over-under is 44.5. The 49ers coming off a big win against the LA Rams.
49ers, I'm still not sold on them. And the way that the New England Patriots played last week, they're going to come out and play better. I guarantee you, Bill Belichick's not going to put up with that. So I'm going with the Patriots on this. Again, it's Gillette Stadium, and it's a tough place to win a game at.
Yeah, I agree. The Patriots will play better than last week. I was actually just in Boston last weekend, and it was like the sky was falling.
Yeah.
All the local news stations. They're not used to not being perfection. I think it's the first time that they were they're 2-3, something like that. But I still didn't see anything worth a while from them. So I'm actually going to take the points and take San Francisco to go on the road. Gillette Stadium's empty. They don't let anyone into that place. It doesn't make a difference. There's no home field advantage. I'm going with the 49ers on this one.
I'm going to start with an apology to Dan. Last week, when the Rams played the 49ers, I told our audience that the Rams were gonna smoke them. And Dan, you picked San Francisco first of all on the money line. Then you asked me who the heck have the Rams played, and I said plenty. And I looked it up after it. They had beaten all 4 of the NFC East teams.
Exactly.
That's
So apologies out there. I don't do it very often. Hopefully I won't have to do it again. The Patriots apparently aren't as good without practicing as the Titans are because they kind of laid an egg against the Broncos. I expect Belichick to fix that. They are -2.5. I think it's a tricky game. I'm on the Pats too, -2.5. I think they find a way to.
He's just not a good downfield thrower, man. It's just nothing's changed. I mean,
Well, they've never had weapons
let
on
him
the
loose.
outside in New England, but he's been running the ball a lot. I don't know. I think too much of Belichick as a coach. The other thing that's interesting about this game, Garoppolo goes back to New England. And Belichick knows Garoppolo better than anybody else does. So I like that matchup. I like Belichick versus Garoppolo in regards to the mind games. I'm on the Pats -2.5. All right, next game. The Jacksonville Jaguars travel to LA. They play the Chargers. The Jags are 1-5. The Chargers are I said minus twice. Are 1-4. Maybe the Leatherhead IPA is getting to me. The Chargers are -7.5. The over/under on this game is 49. The Jags are struggling. They are. There was talk this week of maybe pulling Minshew. I don't even know who's behind him.
Hey, I'll take Miles Jack. We'll trade him something.
We'll see if they sell people off. The Chargers are playing Herbert. He's playing pretty well. The thing that the Chargers bring, they bring a pretty good defense to the game. It's a big line though. The Chargers are -7.5. What do you think?
Chargers.
Yeah, I just don't know how Jacksonville still has a team. I mean, I love it. I mean, I have family down in Jacksonville, and I'm glad they have a team, but they don't have the fan support. They don't seem to have. I mean, unless they move them to London, I don't understand what they're doing in Jacksonville.
I don't know how they won that first game.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly.
I mean, they're literally, it's like, if you want something to buy, come to Jacksonville. We got something to sell you. And that's no way to leave the organization. I don't know how they're going to get people to stay there. If they can't do that, there's just no road forward.
Yeah.
The LA Chargers, I will take. I will. That's a tough one. I'll take those points, and I will go with the Chargers.
You're going to lay the points. You're laying the 7.5. I'm going to lay the 7.5 as well. Jacksonville, the whole thing's falling apart. I think that the Chargers are still an upstart team. It's a big number, but I'm going to lay it as well. All right. We talked about the shuffling of the games here earlier. The last game that we have at the 4 o'clock slot is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 4-2, coming off a huge win, getting their season back together against a very good Packer team, traveling to a very talented Las Vegas Raiders team. The Bucs are currently -3. The over/under on this game is 53.5.
I don't even think you can bet on this one right now because of the COVID situation and the offensive line.
I think you can. Whether or not they play it or not is another story. I think they will. I think it's okay. I don't know. I haven't heard anything in regards to them saying, hey, we got to push this or cancel this. Obviously, we know the NFL wants to stay on track.
It was one Raider that tested positive, correct? But they quarantined the whole offensive line, right?
Yeah.
So as long as they can have people to play, I mean, that's a decent number right there. I mean,
They
the way
won't know
Las
till
Vegas
Sunday
has been playing.
morning.
Yeah, so I mean, that number might change before Sunday morning, but looking at that right now at the -3, the way Brady showed out last weekend, I don't care about going on the road to their new beautiful palace. I'm taking Tampa Bay.
They put it together last week. Tampa Bay certainly did against Green Bay. They started off slow and then finished and steamrolled them. A fun thing that I was watching the Green Bay Tampa Bay game last week, and a super fun thing. Before the game, I saw Tom Brady go up and shake a rookie's hand from Green Bay. It's John Runyon Jr. John Runyon Sr., his father, was Tom Brady's center at the University of Michigan. How about that? That's crazy. The Raiders are a very good upstart team. They're a dangerous team, I guess, is probably the best way I described them. The Bucs are -3. I like the Raiders in this game.
With the offensive line being quarantined, and now I'm going with the Bucs in this one.
It's a little bit of a scary pick. 'Tis the season to take scary picks. I'm in on the
How do you practice?
Raiders.
I just think
how do you, bro, do you do
Practice.
the rest of the 7-on-7?
We're talking about
I
practice?
just think the Bucs have taken it to the next level now. Gronkowski got his first touchdown. They're gelling together. It's taken, obviously, the first 4 or 5 games didn't do it. They're feeling themselves, especially after beating Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay. They're taking it to the next level. They're going to win the NFC South, and they're going to keep moving forward.
All right, we all got our picks in on this game?
Yep.
All right, the Sunday Night Football game, the newly minted Sunday Night Football game with the COVID shuffle. The Seattle Seahawks, I know Dan has a huge affinity for them. They take their undefeated record and to go down to play the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals are 4-2, coming off a big Monday night win against the Dallas Cowboys. The Seahawks are coming off a bye. You know, we all know about Russ and how good the offense is. The defense is certainly questionable to me. Obviously, Arizona is an explosive team. The line is Seahawks -3.5. The over/under on this game is 56.5. Thoughts?
I mean, Arizona got helped out against the Cowboys immensely.
Yeah.
Seattle is flying high. I'm thinking there might be an upset here this week.
You thinking Arizona?
I'm thinking Arizona in this
I'm not a believer in them yet. I mean, Kyler Murray still got some more to show me. Russ has proven what he can do. There's no way I can pick against the Seahawks at this point. 3.5, lay it all day long. I think they're going to win, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a closer, tighter game. At 56.5, though,
Shootout. Woo!
it's a big number.
I'm rolling with Dan. I think the Seahawks come out with their first loss. I love the hook in the game, the 3.5. I mean, I think it's going to be a tight game, and we know how good Russ is at the end of games. I don't know. I think there's some momentum building. I mean, well, let's talk about Arizona. They've kind of been like a polarizing team. The first 2 weeks of the season, they were awesome. The next 2 weeks, they laid eggs. They looked very good against Dallas. A lot of people look good against Dallas. Don't get me wrong.
It's not hard to do.
I like them. I think Seattle comes out of Arizona with their first loss.
This is the second division game for Arizona, right? They beat the 49ers. Now we got the Seahawks. When that first week, Arizona,
San Francisco. They went out to San Francisco and beat them. Very surprising.
I think this upset here. I'm going
When
with
they were
Cardinals.
still healthy. Yeah, well, we'll see.
All right.
That's why we play the games, gentlemen.
No, it's a great Sunday night football game. Hopefully it's very entertaining. I think it will be. I think it'll be up and down. All right, Monday Night Football. We are on to Monday Night Football. The Los Angeles Rams. They are hosting my Chicago Bears. The Rams are currently -5.5. The over/under is 45. I'm going to refer this game to this game as who is the fraud game, because Dan referred to the LA Rams as frauds earlier. I see all the national media saying the Bears are perhaps the worst 5-1 football team they've ever seen. You guys talk, and then I'll finish, like the Bears do, as they are closers.
Well, I still think the Rams are frauds. You haven't proven me, nothing. It's just the NFC East is so awful. They have the easiest schedule, and I'm going with the Bears on this one. I mean, they have to prove it to me. They're going to be at the bottom of their division.
And I know my brother-in-law is the biggest Bears fan that comes around. I wish I thought they were better than they were. They came into Atlanta and beat Atlanta at the time. Wasn't saying much, but I didn't see a lot from these guys.
They're better than the Rams.
I do think they're better than the Rams, but that 5.5, given that hook, I'm actually going to take the Bears on this one. I do think the Rams win, but I think the Bears keep it close at 3. So I will take the Bears, and I'll take the 5.5 points all day long.
I understand all the arguments. The one thing that the Bears do travel with is their defense. I think the Rams certainly have a better offense than Chicago does, at least currently. The Bear defense is considerably better than the Rams. I think it's going to be a really tight game. I think it's a field goal game. I hope my team comes out on top. I'm certainly taking the points. I'm on the Bears getting the 5.5. That is the entire slate of the National Football League schedule. On buys this week, by the way, Indianapolis, Miami, Minnesota, and Baltimore. Probably the biggest fan of the show is your father, Tom Daly.
Fan?
Yes. I promise you there's a lot to talk about with the Tua switch, and maybe they're fixing a problem that doesn't exist. We'll get into it next week.
Fitzmagic, baby. Fitzmagic.
By the way,
Nothing
your
wrong
team
with
is in the thick of the AFC playoff chase, so congratulations on that. You got meaningful football to watch after this week even, which hasn't been said in a while.
No.
All right, our bonus game. Dan, we haven't fared so well in our
Is
bonus
it Big
game.
Ten football?
Big
Welcome.
Ten is back, baby!
Welcome back to Big Ten. Absolutely, and I don't think the college football slate's tremendous this week. I did pick a game that we're going to choose. It's the Michigan Wolverines traveling to play the Minnesota Golden Gophers.
Minnesota.
Michigan is ranked 18th. Minnesota
They
is
should be
21st.
ranked 81.
The line is Michigan -3. The over/under is 55. I'm going to start talking about Minnesota. I think PJ Fleck has done a tremendous job there.
He has.
Did he come from Western Michigan?
Yes.
All right. They bring
Row the boat.
Yeah.
Up in Minnesota.
opening week. The little brown jug is up for grabs. That's what they
That's
exchange.
normally a traditionally late
Yes.
November game.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, the little brown jug is up for grabs. With that being said, Minnesota brings back their quarterback, their great receiver. I think his last name's Bateman, if I'm not mistaken. He had originally opted out. He said, "Wait, we're playing. I'm back in."
Yeah.
He's back in.
I want to go to the league. Let's go.
And we got to talk about this opt-in and out thing. It's crazy because Michigan's quarterback, Dylan McCaffrey, did opt out. They're bringing in a very intriguing redshirt sophomore. His name is Joe Milton. He's a huge dude. He's a dual threat quarterback. He reminds me of Cardale Jones a little bit. I've seen of him.
Oh, 12 gauge.
Yeah, 12 gauge, yes. Go ahead. What do you guys think?
For me, I'm from the South. I'm an SEC fan. I just think that's the superior league. But the Big Ten, hey, you can laugh. You have a couple tough games a year. We got.
I think
lots
the
of
Leatherhead
tough
IPA
games.
is getting
But
the
I
turn.
am glad to see the Big Ten is back. I'm more excited the Pac-12 is back because that means late night football.
Oh,
So you
yeah.
can have what is it, Pac-12 after dark? That's great. I love it. But this being said, I'm not the hugest Harbaugh fan. I do respect the man. I will take those 3 points. Michigan is going to go on the road, and they will beat the Minnesota Golden Gophers. And if they don't, I'm just as happy because, like you said, PJ Fleck, good for him. He's got a good thing rolling there. Keep rolling.
Did we check the weather forecast on this? Because I think that it might snow up there.
Great. Bring it. I love
game.
football
And
and
that's another
stuff.
thing about
As
Big
you can
Ten
tell,
football.
my brother-in-law likes college football more. he likes professional football. I mean, he talked a lot about that game.
I'm on Minnesota.
I know you are.
I'm not picking Michigan.
I'm going to go with the element of surprise with Michigan. Nobody's seen this Joe Milton kid, and I'm very interested in seeing what he looks like. I'm going to go with the Michigan Wolverines -3, even though, I'm unsure about things. So, what do you guys think about the beer?
It's all right.
Well, I think it was quite delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Royal Docks
Not
Brewing.
throwing it out.
There's no docks around here, so what's the name? Royal Docks Brewing.
Very good. I don't know what our alcohol review next week. We're very close to each other on set. Maybe Dan and I do on-site COVID tests next week for our fans.
You're right. We are not separated by 6 feet. Our apologies.
Anyway, that has been week 7 of On Top of the Cage. Very thank you to Teddy for guest appearing. As always, for my co-host Dan, I'm Ken.